Hey, it's Gigi. Welcome to Musicians Can Thrive. If you're watching today on YouTube or Spotify, welcome. We're doing video podcasts now. You'll notice that I have an iPad here with some notes because, try as I might, I can't remember all the details exactly right on my own. I need a little bit of help, so bear with me as we get used to recording on camera. When I was recording just on mic before, you had no idea. You just thought I was really articulate all the time. So, when's the last time that you heard somebody identify as an octopus? I know it's a little weird. Stay with me. Alfred Banks is a hip-hop artist based in New Orleans. There's a point in our interview where he calls himself an octopus because he learned how to do so many different things as part of building his independent music career. If you've been with Musicians Can Thrive for a minute, you know that a lot of my interviews come from personal introductions. So get this. I have a listener who's a longtime fan of Alfred Banks. He's the one who introduced us, using Twitter to do it. And for that, a shout out goes to Keith Bavoto, who's actually a musician himself. He's the frontman of Austin band Jack in the Box. And I really love it how things come full circle, across state lines, across genres, people doing interesting things eventually bump into one another. So, without his introduction last year, I wouldn't have this insightful interview with Alfred Banks. Thank you, Keith. Alfred Banks has gone on tour opening for artists like Tank and the Bangas, and I caught him in Austin this summer just before he did a series of Texas shows opening for Devon the Dude. One of the things I'm most interested in this year is getting people to your shows, getting them off the couch, out of the house, and into the venue. It's not an easy thing to accomplish. And what is easier is building an audience online. Social media followers and streams are great, but developing an audience that will take the effort to come and see you performing music live in person, it's a critical piece of building momentum as a musician. And in those early days, those shows are often the biggest revenue generators. So Alfred Banks shares a perspective on audience building that leverages live shows and merch first, and social media second. I found it refreshing because he speaks to something concrete that when it comes to building relationships with people so they become your fans, it's a concept that's always felt a little elusive to me. Like, I could recognize it when people were doing it well, and I witnessed that. But as far as actually translating that to a strategy that I could leverage, that my friends who are musicians could leverage, that we could all learn from, that was the hard part. So take a listen, see what Alfred has to say, and if you have any thoughts you want to add to this conversation, hit me up on Twitter. I'm moving my attention away from Instagram as much as possible. So for that, you can find any link to things we're talking about in this episode in the show notes below. And with that, I give you Alfred Banks.
So apparently I'm playing Antones with Devon the Dude, which is super exciting. I'm actually doing a couple shows with him. And yeah, shouts to my agent for giving me the gig. I'm super excited about it. I play Austin a bunch, you know what I'm saying? I play very small spots here, like Kickbutt Coffee. I played emos, you know what I mean? So I guess Antones is somewhere in between, apparently. I'm very excited. It's my first time there. Never played that spot. I've also never opened for Devon the Dude. Never met him. So I'm doing Austin and Dallas with him. So hopefully, you know what I'm saying, we get the vibe out. But I'm very excited, though. I think it's going to be really, really dope for sure.
Cool. So it's going to be a mini Texas tour then if you're going.
Something like that. I always say like 3 shows or more is a tour. So we just doing back-to-back gigs. But technically, I'm on tour with Devon the Dude. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you mentioned that your agent got you the show.
Definitely.
One of the sort of tipping points for an independent artist is when they do get that team built so they can, you know, not do everything themselves anymore. For those who just have a manager right now, when is the time where you start looking for adding someone else to your team, like an agent? Like, why is that really helpful for you?
Well, you know, you start adding like other people to your team when you start like making money. Well, what I found is people that, you know, you do find people that will show love for free, but that's usually for a limited amount of time. People usually fall off the wagon, especially like people have very short term expectations. So like, for example, this is a weird metaphor, but kind of follow me. Well, like usually when I do a gig, I'll meet a person in the crowd that's like, yo, you're amazing. And they discover me and they're like, yo, you're dope. And then they go do research and go, oh, this dude's about to pop. And then when I don't pop in 8 months, they kind of fall off the wagon and just go find a new artist to rock with. So it's kind of like that. You'll find like a person that wants to be on your team because they feel you have the potential. But usually those people aren't in for the long haul. They'll rock with you maybe about a year. And when there's no bread coming in or real money coming in, they usually just fall off and go do something else with their lives. So if you got money coming in, then you can get a team. And if you actually are busy, you'll get a team. You should get a team. You know what I mean? If you're not busy, if you're not doing stuff, if you don't have a schedule, if you don't have like actual things coming up all the time, don't even worry about a team. Just grind it out until you start to get busy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So when you vet people and you're trying to figure out if they're going to be someone who is going to be consistent and accountable for the long term, what are some of the things that you look for?
If I'm being honest, man, like I've never really had to do that. I've been blessed to where people kind of, and this may sound cocky, but people just kind of gravitate to me, right? Because I'm an octopus. I literally can do everything myself. Now, granted, I don't want to. It's not always the most effective.
Yeah.
But for the first like 8 years of my career, I pretty much did everything myself. I booked all my shows. I did all my flyers. I advanced my shows. I settled up at the end of the night, did my own sound checks. I got my rentals. I got my, you know what I'm saying? I pressed up my merch. I designed my merch. Did my cover art for my projects. I, paid for all the mixing and mastering, did all that stuff myself. Pretty much the first like 8 years of my career, that's all I did. So, I literally can do everything myself. But now that I'm starting to get busy and things are kind of coming to fruition that I always wanted, now it's like I need to have someone on my squad that I can trust. But in that, I don't really let people in my inner circle unless I could trust you out the gate before I even ask you to work with my team. Like you're not even like in my life if I can't trust you. So like I don't really do the whole kind of vetting or like kind of, seeing where the head's at and all that type of shit. I don't do all that because like if you're in my squad, most of the time you kind of see where I lack, and you being the type of person that only the people that are in my squad are, you'll be like, hey, can I help? You know what I mean? And then that's where we create the relationship.
It seems like a great way to do it. I've definitely found that when I have people I trust, they're in my immediate circle first.
Definitely.
And you don't have to do that vetting
You
process.
got to do the whole thing. Maybe there's just a couple of instances where I work with people through, what they call it, reference. But that doesn't really go too far. But yeah, most of the people that are in my inner circle that help me in some regard, man, we already been vibing for a while. You already my homegirl, homeboy. You know what I'm saying? Home person, whatever.
Yeah.
That's how we do it. So.
I remember one of the things that really impressed me when I saw you for the first time performing in Austin is your merch variety.
Thank you.
Because you had so many different things and you had all the different price points too. So if someone is excited about your music and they want to support you, but maybe they can't afford a t-shirt that day, you've got all kinds of stickers and buttons. And,
definitely.
And you had, I think there was even a USB stick.
Yeah.
With like a whole bunch of your different music
on it. Thumb drive with pretty much everything I've ever. Yeah, no doubt. I try to, I learned that from touring with like people like Mega Ran and like Tanking the Bangas and like Frida, like these or I don't really go to a lot of shows that I'm not performing at, but the shows that I have been in festivals and stuff like that, seeing artists that just have a variety. I've read a lot of articles throughout the years. I went to college for about 2.5 years for music, and I learned from there like. You want to have variety. You want to have that $0 to $5 item, then your $10 to $20 item, then your $25 to $45 item, and then your $50 to $100, and then maybe even something more than that for your diehards. You know what I mean? You give people that variety because I believe that if I don't have anything to give you after the show is over, I'm not jumping on stage. There's just no point. I'm not gonna depend on you to follow me on Instagram, and then that'll be the retention. Like that, it doesn't really work like that. I've done a million shows where people have followed me from the show and they stick with me throughout my career. But 9 times out of 10, the way the world works, we consume everything like McDonald's. So like, again, if you don't pop in 6 months, I'm probably gonna unfollow you anyway because like you ain't pop. So I don't really want, but I want to support. I want the support, and if the only way I can get the support is you to follow me, you're probably gonna fall off the wagon at some point. You know what I mean? But if you cop something, you might be right there to click unfollow, and then you look, oh, I remember that shirt. That dude was dope. Let me go see what he been up to, kind of deal. You know what I mean? Or like just taking something away from the show from a financial standpoint for me, it helps me out, and also it gives something to people love leaving an event with something to remember that gig. You know what I mean? I've had so many shows where people brought their daughters or sons, and that was their very first hip hop show. And so they
cool.
bought like a beanie or like a CD or something for the little kid. I even had a lady who was about 8 months pregnant. She came to the gig. She saw me, bought a small, no, she bought what she bought? I had some stickers, buttons, and she bought a beanie. And the baby was born a few months later, and she sent me a picture of the beanie on the baby's head. You know what I mean? So
I love that.
Those are the type of things like, yeah, as an artist, to make money, you need merch. You need a selection of merch. And as a, for your fans, you want them to leave with something. Even if it's just a flyer, just leave with something. So, yeah, that's why I have like such a vast variety of stuff.
I love what you pointed out about Instagram versus leaving the show with something physical to remind them of you, because that's actually one of the things I've started to notice, both with artists that I'm supporting, trying to book shows for, or just go see a show for to support, or even the podcast, and trying to figure out where are my real fans and not just a casual follower on Instagram. Definitely. And so I don't know if you're familiar with that concept of 1,000 true fans.
Yeah, it's like as long as you just have 1,000, you'll be able to make a living off it.
Yeah, if they're true diehard fans and they're willing to support you, they can help fund your career in a sustainable way that you could actually become a full-time musician or other kind of artist. And so I love that your perspective is focused on basically trying to get people off of Instagram and more tangibly and supporting you.
Definitely. Yeah, social media, especially nowadays, like if you don't have a Instagram or Twitter, people don't even take you serious as an artist. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do believe that like I'm more in the streets first than social media. You know what I mean? Like I'm usually like, hey man, go to my website before I say go to my Instagram. Okay. You know what I mean? Because I got stuff there that I think you get to dig a little bit deeper there than you would on my gram. But again, we consume things like McDonald's, so the first thing we want to see is what your image look like, how many followers you got, verified, what your comments look like. Are people, making fun of you in the comments? Are people like on your I don't want to say that word. Are they on your trail really hard on your Instagram and things like that? Are famous people on your? These are things people care about. I'm more like, how many people do you have coming to your show? You know what I mean? Yeah. And these are the things that I care about, because with my track record, I've been able to work really hard to tour all over the world, open for big acts, do some really cool things. But my name hasn't necessarily spread the way I wanted to. And so now the focus is to have that tangible success, where it's like you book Alfred Banks and there's butts in the seats. You know what I mean? That's kind of the followers and stuff like that will kind of happen as a byproduct. And I think people kind of get caught up in the followers first and then the fans. And I think if you get the fans first, then the followers will kind of come.
Yeah.
I mean, but that sounds like an old guy talking in 2022.
I think it's smart, though.
Though. Yeah, I could say personally it has worked for me, definitely. And all my friends who make $250,000 a year off music, they'll kind of attest to that same thing too. So.
Yeah, it definitely is consistent with what I've noticed also, because at some point someone can have 10,000 followers, but if their show can't even pack 50 people or 100 people, then where are those 10,000 people?
Definitely. And the thing is, like for me, like in New Orleans, like if I do a gig, I'm good there. I can draw pretty well, but kind of surrounding markets. But my goal is to be a national act, and I don't even let the follower number really bother me. It kind of I had to get to a point with that too, because at one point I was like, yo, I gotta get my followers up. Well, one of my first goals was 10,000 followers, and I finally got to 10,000. I was verified when I had like 4,000 followers. You know what I mean? So that the verified thing wasn't really a thing for me. But 10,000 was my number. And then I noticed like when I busted my butt to get those followers, but I noticed it wasn't really helping my draw. So I was like, I'm gonna go focus on my draw. You know what I mean? And the fact that I'm verified kind of gets me in rooms, and I do have the talent, and the music is dope. So like all the other things kind of like come together. My main focus is just putting butts in the seats. You know what I mean? The followers and then the internet. Like there are certain things I could kind of improve on. I personally believe, but that's just me being just very analytical and stuff like that, very anal just about everything.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like none of that stuff really, that shit don't matter to me. Like I just kind of I want to do 1 million shows. You know what I'm saying? I want to go meet people. I want to shake hands and kiss babies. Because I feel like the best way to know what I do is in from my Instagram. Because all I post about is sneakers. you would think I'm a reseller or something. You know what I'm saying?
You
Like,
do love your
like,
fashion.
or like you know what I mean? That's all I post about. So like, I don't really. You go to my joint. If you read my bio, you see I rap. But otherwise, you just be like, you know. So yeah, come to a show, man. Come see me open for your favorite artist, and then I'll become your favorite artist. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
You definitely made a strong impression on me when you had these mad freestyle skills.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You just grabbed words from the crowd. I don't remember if it was in real time or if you had us give you a few words beforehand and then you just developed a verse from that. But
Knowing me was in real
it was
time.
so cool.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Because you had us participating with you.
Definitely.
And it was a relatively small show.
Yeah, that's the thing about. So like again, touring with some of the guys and gals that I've toured with. You know, like I've toured with Tank and the Bangas in front of like 4,000 people every night for 20 shows. I've also toured with people like Mega Ran, 200-300 people a night. I've also toured by my damn self, 50 people a night. You know what I mean? And so you learn how to work different types of crowds. And one of the things I learned is the lesser the amount of people, the more interactive you have to be. Because people come to a show to be where the people are. People don't really go to shows for the musical experience anymore. They go because 20 of their friends are going to be there, right? And so when you go to a show and there's only 20 people in the crowd, you feel awkward as hell. You're like, oh man, people looking at this is weird. This artist ain't popping. I can't even gram this. Like, what's going on? I can't post this online. This shit ain't lit. Like, oh, I'm about to leave. So me being the person I am, I understand that, right? So I'm like, all right, well, since you're here, let's have fun. You're not going to get the most, if I'm in front of 3,000 people, they get a different show than if I'm in front of 20. 20 people get the same energy as 3,000 people, but they don't get the same show. When I'm in front of 2,000 people, 3,000 people that were already there because they're waiting to see the opener, the headliner, I could say boop boop and do for 30 minutes. Y'all, you know, probably rock with it just because, oh, he's fucking opening. But when I'm in 20 people, I'm like, all right, cool, I got to pull out the tricks. I got and shout out to my man Mega Ran. He really inspired me to freestyle. My man Marcel P. Black, Mega Ran, my man Ray Wimley. These guys inspired me to really get back into my freestyling. So I'm like, all right, cool. You in the crowd, you got on black boots. Oh man, she got on the outfit with black boots. That's cute. And I'm that dude going for stacks, fool. Like whatever, just free. You know what I mean? Like that's like, oh, you know what I mean? And it's like in the moment. So like, I don't want to leave because I don't know what he's gonna do next, kind of deal. And that keeps, and that now you got 20 new followers. And so those 20 new files, at least 9 of them are going to come to the next gig. And then they're going to bring some friends. Oh, yo, this dude did this thing with the freak. Yo, it's so fire. And then they hear his music is fire. You know what I mean? So that's the, you know, those type of, you just learn how to do different gigs, different types of shows for different types of crowds. And that's one of the things I've been blessed to do. I've done so many shows at this point that like, you know, I can rock for all white crowd. I can rock for all black crowd. I can rock for, you know, younger crowds usually give me the most trouble. But like, you know, I opened for Rakim about a week ago, and all his crowd, legendary Rakim, the God MC, his crowd's 50 and up. And so, you know, me being 30 years old, like you would think like, oh, you know, I saw other situations where that didn't work out well, but me, I can rap in front of 50-year-old, a crowd of 50-year-olds because I know what they want to hear. You know, you come from a Rakim show, that means you want to hear lyricism. So all my songs are going to be lyrically driven and more boom bap. You know, if I'm rocking for a crowd that's around my age, like 30 to like 40, you're kind of maybe still in a more experimental phase. You kind of want to maybe hear music from your past. I was like, okay, cool. Maybe I should do my more like rock inspired stuff. You know, maybe lyricism that's kind of across the board because this is more of a, you know, a vast crowd, a crowd of variety of different ethnicities and people. And you kind of learn that doing these different shows. And I haven't, you know, I've only had like 2 or 3 bad shows and maybe like 1,000 shows. So for me, like I have to do every single thing in my power. After this show is over, if you didn't enjoy yourself, it's really on you. That ain't a me thing.
Like I gave you
everything. You know what I'm saying? I did the research. I went on Wikipedia, like I did the thing or whatever.
You dove deep.
Yeah, I dove deep. I read the textbooks. I went, you know what I'm saying? And if you don't like it, that's really you. It's not really a me thing. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm dope. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do it in front of y'all. I know where I'm at. I respect where I go. If you ain't like it, that's on you. So
yeah. I mean, honestly, at the show that I went to hear you for the first time, I didn't like the other artists that you're performing with. It was amusing, but it wasn't my kind of comedy.
Definitely.
I wasn't expecting to hear music and comedy mixed together, so it wasn't my thing at all. But the second you started doing the freestyle, where you had the crowd engaging with you, and it was in real time, you were just taking words that we would shout at you. And then it was like, okay, well, he said this thing and we just gave him this curveball. So what is he going to do with it? you won me over in that moment. And I was there to see you in the first place, but that was when I became someone who's not just a passive listener.
Definitely, definitely. I really appreciate that too, man. I'm glad you appreciated that. It's always fun. That stuff is fun though. The freestyle is really fun. Like, cause quick story. I did a thing with I opened for who was it? I'm in this band called Sax Kicks Ass, with my man Albert Allen back, right? And of Tank the Bangas, and we opened for a band called Corey Henry. It's like a brass band back home in New Orleans, and the owner of the venue's called Tipitina's, and the owner of Tipitina's, he walked up to me in sound check. He was like, "Yo, I know you do the freestyle stuff, but people always pull out the same things out their pocket, or always say the same words and stuff. So you probably got a Memodex of that stored in your head." I mean, he's not wrong, but he was like, "Yo, you should like, I bet you can't do like really crazy stuff." And I was like, "Dude, when the show starts, pull out the wildest stuff you possibly can find, and I'm a freestyle about it." They put out a broken fire hydrant. They like brought this on stage. Like a hazard sign, like a wet hazard sign, a ice chest, a bag of ice. What they brought? Like a little like a puree knife, like a vinyl. They pulled out everything they could, and I freestyled for like 7 minutes straight of just about every. You know what I mean? I was like, yo, I could really do that. You know what I'm saying? And I got that from Mega Ran. Like I toured with him in 2017, and I watched him do it. And Mega Ran is an incredible MC. He does like kind of nerdcore hip hop, but he's really good. He did Madison Square Garden in 2019. So
nice.
An independent artist, maybe doing Madison, that's just incredible. So yeah, watching him freestyle and just grab that crowd just right here, the crowd's right here. You do whatever you want with him, you know what I mean? And I aspire to that. So it just made me want to do that stuff. So yeah, I like really rapping. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, my music's good. I can make a radio record. I can do this or that. But at the end of the day, I just want to show people I can really do this. You know what I mean? Like it's no fluke over here. So I'm glad that you appreciate it and that stuck with you. That really means a lot for sure.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I thoroughly enjoyed every second of it.
That's what's up.
So you mentioned a couple times that you've gone on tour with Tank and the Bangas.
Yeah.
What was that like? It's a pretty big group to be opening for.
Definitely.
But it's also more kind of jazz soul music.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like rock, and they do everything. It is really interesting, like, because I'm on the same management as them. It's like me, Big Frida, Tank and the Bangas, Sweet Crew, my girl, the Sufferers. So the first time I toured with them was 2018. We did Southeast and to the East Coast. It was amazing because I had said to myself, all I ever wanted in life was to go on tour with a big act, because I just wanted to show people that all these years of me rapping in front of 75 people, I knew how to rock a crowd of 2,000-3,000. That's all I ever wanted. I just wanted everybody to know that it's really lit over here. No matter what it is, I can do it. And I finally got that opportunity. The first time I was like, yo, I finally, the first show was in Pensacola, Florida, 1,500 people, and I won them over. You know what I'm saying? And I'll never forget, the very first person that bought merch that night on that show spent like $400 with me.
Damn.
You were amazing. I was like, yep, this is lit. This is about to be lit. You know what I mean? And then I wound up touring with them 3 separate times. We toured Southeast to the East Coast. Second time I toured with them was the Southwest. We did Texas. We were supposed to do Houston. I don't know if you remember that storm that hit Houston.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, that flood, the real bad flood. So we was on that run. But we wound up doing Austin at Emos, and we did Dallas at Trees. We did Santa Fe, New Mexico. We did Phoenix, Arizona, and then I came back. And the last time I toured with them was Canada. That was my first time touring Canada. And that was an experience I'll never forget. I was going through some real bad mental health issues at the time. So the little I do remember of that tour was like, I was living my dream. I was out the country touring, you know what I mean? And it was amazing. And the fact that like Tank, Terriana, like really just took to me, man. Like she really likes me. Like she's like, yo, you were it. You were nuts. You know what I mean? Like you were incredible. And that's all I ever wanted. I just wanted the big boys to know that like, I ain't trying to take you out your spot. I ain't got the name yet, but like, trust me. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm nice. I just want everybody to know I'm nice. And I'm nice on a bunch of different levels. You know what I'm saying? And it was a blessing, man. So shouts to Tank and the Bangas for giving me the opportunity. A lot of my fans I got from those tours. I did like 30 shows with them. A lot of those shows got me a lot of my fan base I have right now. You know what I mean? That's why I can tour in, Kansas City, Missouri and draw a crowd, because of Tank and the Bangas. And, I could probably go back. I can go to Phoenix, Arizona and 75 people will come out because of taking the Bangas. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that was a blessing. I'm so grateful for that opportunity. I hope we can do it again.
Definitely sounds like a dream come true.
Plus, they from New Orleans and they pop.
Yeah.
So that's all I ever wanted was to go on tour with a huge band from my city. That's just, you know what I mean? Like you can't write that. You know what I mean? So, and after like what 10 years of me doing music, I finally go on my first big tour.
So it took you 10 years to get to that point?
Yeah.
And then where are we at now? Is it 12?
COVID. Oh, I'm 13 years in.
13
June
years.
6th made 13 years. I've been doing music. COVID was a real big setback. It really ruined a lot. I had a lot going. It was gonna be nuts 2020. I feel like, and I mean this with no exaggeration, 2020 was gonna be my breakout year. I had a lot going, like a lot of tours, a lot of press coming up. It was nuts.
And then it all just came crashing down.
Yeah, I lost 70 shows. You know what I'm saying? I was in a relationship with my ex, you know what I'm saying? 7-year relationship that ended. And I lost my day job. So the whole time I was touring doing all the shows, I had a job. And I lost my day job. So like it was rough. But you know, we back on the trail. This is my first tour in 3 years. You know what I'm saying? A little quick little A-City run. And I'm very grateful for it. That's another thing too. All this stuff I talk about, like, you know, I'm grateful for everything. Because again, I'm an independent artist. Like, you know, one thing that COVID did do, I realized for, I guess, all the artists that are watching it, the chances of you getting like to open for like a big act, those chances have slimmed up a little bit.
Really?
Venues are like going with the sure shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they lost so much money.
Boom. So like, and they're still fighting back. Even 2-3 years later after the pandemic, 2 years later, people are still fighting. And so these venues don't have enough room to give you a shot. You have to have a draw nowadays, you know? So, you know, some of these big tours that I did pre-COVID, I probably won't get to do again until I'm the headliner. That's probably another 10 years of me grinding it out until I can put 1,000 people into a room, you know? And I'm cool with that. I did it the first 10 years, it's all love, you know what I mean? So
And you made good momentum in those 10 years.
exactly. And so it's not like I don't have a name, so I'm lucky enough to where I have a name that precedes me, so people book me to open for Devon the Dude for a couple of dates and stuff like that. So like these type of opportunities I'm getting because of my track record and what I've done. But a lot of people aren't in my boat. And so you got to know that, like, if you get that slide, do not take that stuff for granted. Don't just go in there, be the rapper, be in the green room for 3 hours, rap and smoke a bunch of weed, drink and just leave. Like, really engage with them people, man, because you don't know next time you're going to get that. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is promised. COVID taught me that. I went from doing 100 shows a year to nothing for a year and a half. You know what I'm saying? So I don't take none of this for granted. Like, I am blessed, and I know I'm blessed. You know what I mean? I get to rap for a living. A lot of people don't get to that point.
So are you a full-time musician now?
I am. Now
Congrats.
I am. Thank you.
That's fucking
COVID
exciting.
also did that. Finally, you know.
So when you couldn't play shows because of COVID, how did you recover to the point where you could become a full-time musician?
I never stopped. I'll say this, like, from a financial standpoint, I just sold a bunch of sneakers. Like, I was just flipping shoes and shit.
So you added a different revenue stream.
Yeah, because I got hundreds of shoes in my house. I just, like, flipped. But outside of that, man, it was more like, I knew I was going to rap. I just knew this was a temporary thing. I didn't know how long it was going to last. We just got to figure it out. I just got to get on the other side of it. So, like, I did a bunch of online shows, you know, the live stream joints, and they ain't really hit like I wanted it to. Red was okay, but it wasn't really hitting. I did a lot of, like under the table writing for people and stuff like that. That kind of got me through. But for the most part, like, I just was looking like, yo, I'm going to get back to it. It was just like that poster is just I just got to get there again. And once I get there, it's lit, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I got through it, man. You know, and I wrote an album. I wrote that album June, like that. I was trying to write a record, and it was really sad, so I stopped making music. And then, like, my man Cedric Avenue out of Denver, he played me some beat. I was on Instagram. I heard a beat. I was like, yo, this beat is crazy. Who made this? He was like, me. And I was like, oh, because I know him as a rapper. I didn't know he produced. I was like, oh, word. Send me that over. I wrote to it. He loved it. I was like, yo, just keep sending me beats. And then I dropped an album called One Guy Standing By Himself. Because kind of the idea, originally the idea was because I wanted the sequel to be a Sass Kicks Ab album, and I wanted it to be two guys standing next to each other. I just thought that was funny as hell. Album was like, no, I don't like it. I was like, damn. So I was like, One Guy Standing By Himself. I think that's kind of ill. And it's a testament to, like, me kind of making it through and busting my butt to really, like, make it to the other side. You know what I mean? I lost my job. I lost pretty much my entire life. And I was able to kind of bounce back from it. And I feel like my story is no different from a lot of people that went through issues in COVID. You know, specific to me because it's my story, but it's a lot of people was grinding it out, making it happen. So that's another thing. I don't really be on that, like, violins and sob stories. Like, get it done or you don't. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what am I gonna sit and mope? Go figure something out. I did my Uber Eats, you know what I'm saying? Uber Eats deliveries, sold some sneakers, did some writing, got some verses, like, or I starved to death. So figure that shit out. You can be sad later. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I appreciate you sharing that and being honest in that way.
No worries.
Because that's actually one of the things I'm most interested in is when, I want to make music for my whole life.
Definitely.
And my podcast is a way for me to get to know other musicians and help amplify other people.
Definitely.
While also, in the background right now working on my music. And
Definitely.
so I've noticed that a lot of people who are at a level of momentum like you, or they're, winning Grammys or Juno Awards.
Definitely.
They've put in at least 10 years of work before they get to that first sort of big milestone.
Definitely.
And so when you have to go 10 years to kind of start popping off and then maybe another 10 to get to the next level that you want to get to, there's always going to be some sort of challenge or pitfall that gets thrown in your way. And so trying to figure out how to stay resilient and keep things going over that long period of time is what I've been really paying attention to.
Honestly, man, you just gotta love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? People always say, like, I've been hearing a lot lately, like people say to do music to just get a bag right quick and go about their business. I was like, who's making money fast in music? Could you point me in that direction?
Yeah, I'd like to go.
You know what I mean? Because I ain't started making money till like year 7. You kidding me? Like, who blew up in a year and made what? Please, what is your formula? Like, I want to know. Because I don't know nobody that made money that, But yeah, man, you gotta love what you do. And I see nothing else for me is music. That's just it. I'm very smart. I could pretty much go do whatever I want.
Yeah.
I'm a very astute young man, but at the same time, music is all I want to do. That's all I was ever gonna do. And I knew that from 17 when I jumped out and did my first show. I don't want to do nothing else. So for me, since music is all that there will be and all there is, I gotta make this shit happen.
Yeah.
And there is no other option. I have to make music rock. And now I finally got to that for a living. So now it's leveling up in the tax brackets and figuring that out. And that's the goal, man. But yeah, music is, you gotta love it. Because I know a lot of people that quit. You know what I'm saying? I know a lot of people that don't rhyme no more. They rhyme every now and again just for the sake of it, but they don't do it no more like they used to. A lot of cats when I first came in the game don't rap no more. You know what I'm saying? Well, from, even, I don't know, just times change, things happen, circumstances change and stuff. And you gotta love what you do. You gotta love this. Because if you don't love it, man, it's gonna eat you up, spit you out. You know what I mean? I've only been booed one time, but like I've been booed on stage in front of I had a crowd of 2,000 people boo me. You know what I'm saying? That was like 2 years ago. 3 years ago. That wasn't even, I was nice. I was a good rapper and I got booed. I've also, was promised to open for a big act, get to the spot, and they put me on after the headliner. So instead of the 900 people, I rap in front of 20. You know what I mean? I've also had, venues say, we got this for you, get there. Well, you didn't do well, so we ain't got this bread for you. You drove 9 hours. You know what I mean? I've also driven 10 hours to rap in front of 5 people. So there's a lot of different things you do, and you just gotta love it. You know what I mean? Somehow you just gotta fight through it and just get to the next one.
Yeah, sure. One of the interesting projects I saw that you did was you partnered with the New Orleans Library.
Yeah.
And you helped them curate for this exclusive to New Orleans streaming service.
Definitely, yeah.
How did that project come about?
The Crescent City Sounds. Yeah, that was dope. They reached out to me, man. Like, who's gonna go to the library? Whatever city you're in, you go to the library. When you was a kid, and I've always been in the library. I used to be in there reading wild books. You know what I mean?
You and me both.
Reading mad books, you heard? You know what I mean? Word up, books and words. But I was always in the library, man. And, for them to reach out to me was a blessing. They actually reached out to my manager. And she was like, nah, but my man will do it. And I was like, yeah, that's great. So shouts to Crescent City Sounds, man. They've been really doing, I've been doing a lot of press in New Orleans to kind of like promote it. And it's dope, man. Like a Spotify, but for New Orleans. Yeah, I feel like New Orleans is maybe I'm biased, but I feel like it's one of the most beautiful cities on the planet when it comes to music. I think a lot of people hear New Orleans and they think like 3 types of music. They think bounce, they think street stuff, like, Cash Money No Limit, and they think like brass bands. And there's so much more. There's acts like Latranium who does pop music. There's my girl Sleazy Easy who does like this kind of alternative hip hop. Pell who does like this cloud rap kind of deal. They got me. I do, I don't say true school hip hop. That's not, but more like I'm rooted in hip hop, but I kind of go all over the place. I could do hyper pop to like indie rock to like rap to R&B and things like that.
Yeah.
so many different acts that are coming out the city, man. Like, and these people need this platform. You know what I mean? They need a platform that people can come to New Orleans and be like, oh, there's other stuff. And I think if we do it right, which, you know, promotion wise and positioning wise, we are, is going to become a staple thing that when the next time you come to New Orleans, first thing you see when you touch down is Crescent City Sounds. And you should go here to listen to the music and see who's doing shows around what.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be really amazing. So shouts to the NOLA Public Library for reaching out to me to be a part of that, man. Shouts to the whole team. I'm one of the music curators, so I'm actually one of the people that pick the acts to be on the streaming service.
That sounds like so much fun.
It's really dope. I can't wait. We're going to actually, when I get back home from this run, we're going to start listening to the music to pick stuff. So it's going to be dope. I can't wait.
Cool. Well, please send me a link when you launch it, because I definitely want to go dive in and get all the good stuff.
Definitely, man. It's going to be amazing. Can't wait.
That's cool. So you also recently put out a new album.
Yes.
What was the process like for making that? Because it's definitely a slightly new sound for you, I feel like.
Yeah, nah. So it's called The Range 2. The Range is going to be a series, I guess. I didn't really plan on doing The Range 2. I didn't plan on doing The Range 1. I just got into this space where I was like, man, I really want to do everything. I want to do every type of music I humanly can, because working with somebody like Albert Allenback of Tank and the Bangas, this guy can do anything. He's made bounce records. He's also obviously produced some records for Tank and the Bangas and stuff. And so he can do anything. And I really want to match that energy. And so I know that I'm capable of a lot of different things. And so that's what The Range 1 was about. The Range 2 is just kind of furthering that idea. It's just more like, nah, I definitely can do any type of rap. I can give you some boom bap stuff. I can give you some more radio stuff.
You were singing on this album.
I can literally, I can sing.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm trying my best to like really get my voice under me and really perfect that. Tank co-signed my voice, Terriana. So when Terriana Tank Ball, she told me I could sing, I was like, can't nobody tell me nothing. Because her voice is the best voice I've ever heard in my life. So
yeah.
When she told me I could sing, I was like, all right, we lit. So boom, you know, I'm trying to get my singing together, get that going, writing my ballads, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's what The Range 2 is about, featuring my man K the Beast. He's on the record. I guess he's an artist on the Underdog Central. Like, I don't really do like the artist, like that's my artist. It's not my, he's just a really dope rapper that I always just want to help and work with. So K the Beast is somebody dope, Kaye the Beast, check him out, he's super fire. My man Pell of Global Warming, he did the intro for me, you know what I'm saying, kind of talking some noise for me, which is amazing. I love that little project, man. I think it's got like 6 songs on it. I even rap about like my mental health and how up and down it is and stuff. And I give a lot of different, you know, energy on it. Here and Now is like kind of like an alternative kind of rap song. It's really dope, man. So
I really liked Here and Now. It was
thank
one of my
you.
favorite ones,
I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, so The Range 2 is everywhere. You can get that on UnderdogCentral.com and stuff like that.
As I look in the mirror, nowadays I see things more clearer. Stressful days as success gets nearer. Sounded sweet.
I love it, man. Like, I'm really proud of this work. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really put out nothing I ain't proud of, but this is something that, like, I think, I got like, I put out some music, but I got like 2 or 3 projects that really stand the test of time, and I think The Range 2 might be one of them joints that when people listen to me and think of me, they think, oh, this is one of the joints.
Yeah.
So, I'm proud of it. So.
Well, thank you for putting it out there for us to listen to.
Thank you. Thank you for listening.
Project.
People
yeah.
streaming the shit out of it.
My pleasure. So I got one last question for you. You mentioned Underdog Central, and that is your website, but it's also a recurring theme that shows up in your music and across your Instagram and your merch. Where did that come from? What is that to you? Underdog Central is the place where the overlooked go to hone their skills to come back and become the admired. So it's kind of like a life mantra that I live by. You know, when I first came out, I was mad rough around the edges. You know what I'm saying? I didn't really know what I was doing. I was very unrefined. And so I kind of went back into my proverbial bat cave to a degree. And I love that.
Perfected what I did. And that idea and energy is Underdog Central. So just, if you just a guy that, or a gal or a person who just gets overlooked and you feel like you're underrated, you're underappreciated, but you're really amazing, that's what Underdog Central is. And so that's why I named it my label. That's why I named it my brand, just the whole thing, my Instagram account, all of it, Twitter, whatever. I really believe in this idea that some of the best people that are on the planet are unknown, and they're not as known, or they're not as recognized. When you dig for jewels, they're underground. That's literally what it's about. It's like some of the best things on the planet you ain't never heard of. Some of the stuff that we all kind of just know and refer to sometimes ain't always the best, but it's just the safe bet, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Underdog Central is all about. And that's why I rock with K the Beast. I feel like he's that in a nutshell. He's a guy that a lot of people don't know about, but the dude's amazing. He produced one of my biggest songs, Underdog Central. They got featuring the movie Burning Sands on Netflix. You know what I mean? He was also in my Volkswagen car commercial we did a few years back. So that dude's amazing. So like that, just that idea. So if you like, if that kind of relates to you or that sticks to you and you relate to that idea, you know, come over to Underdog Central, kind of go. If you don't like your CEO dancing, I'm just kidding. Dancing all in your videos.
That's cool. Well, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for coming on and
For sure.
just being willing to tell us about your journey. It's been really exciting to hear and watch how things evolve and change for you.
I appreciate that, man. Stick around because I think next couple of years are gonna be pretty epic.
Yeah.
I'm in this weird groove, man. I think we'll be having a different combo in a couple of years, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I was a little late to the game, but shout out to your fan who introduced you to me on Twitter, and
Thank you.
you know, without him, I wouldn't know who you were because
Definitely.
I'm in Austin and you're in New Orleans.
That's what it's about, man. That means the world to me. Just people just talking about Banks. You know, however many people that may be, they have no idea how much I appreciate that. So yeah, shouts to whoever that was. I appreciate it.
I'll pull up his Twitter. And we'll find it.
For sure.
Cool. Well, before we go, where can listeners find you and your music online?
UnderdogCentral.com is my website. It's the exact way you spell it, Underdog Central. Twitter, Underdog Central. Instagram, Underdog Central. Snapchat? Nah, no Snapchat. I'm on Snapchat, but what else? Just wherever you listen to music, type in Alfred Banks, and you can listen away and check out some of the tunes. Like literally, Spotify, SoundCloud, whatever it is. Just Underdog Central, Alfred Banks, and you can check it out.
All right. Well, thank you again.
For
I look forward to seeing you kill it at Emos tomorrow night.
Appreciate it. For sure.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. Please check the show notes for links to find Alfred Banks' music, his website where you can buy merch, social media, and all that fun stuff, or below if you're on YouTube. Before you go today, I've got one last thing for you. There are techniques, strategies, and routines that work best for different people. And with that in mind, I encourage you to consider this. Alfred Banks spoke about having merch and how he doesn't play a show unless he has that merch available to give to someone, well, to sell to someone. And for the initial expectation of selling merch and having it available for your fans, we associate that with, yes, it's a great way for me to make a little extra money on top of what I'm being paid for playing this show. Or if you're in a situation where you're playing a show that you're not being paid for, the merch is a great way to create income so that show isn't a total loss. But what doesn't get talked about often enough is how merch becomes a retention tool for you. And that's the root of what Alfred Banks was talking about and what was such an eye-opening perspective for me personally to hear. Because many of you may know, my day job is in marketing. I work in the e-commerce world, and there we're all about customer retention. It drives 90% of the marketing decisions that I make. When someone finds you for the first time, your first goal is to make them a customer of yours, or in your case as an artist, make them a fan of yours, a loyal customer fan who's gonna come buy tickets and attend your shows, who's gonna buy your merch. But the next most important step after getting that initial purchase is keeping them around so they come to the next show, so they support the next album, the next music video, and so on. And that is where the true value of merch, I believe, comes in. So, like Alfred described, someone's about to unfollow you on Instagram, Twitter, anything else, and they look across their room and they see this t-shirt, or they're looking through their photo album and they see a picture of their friend wearing their beanie that they got at your concert that has your logo on it, and they go, you know, actually, I'm gonna sit tight because I do really like that artist. I'm gonna stay engaged with them for the long term. So retention is something that I might talk about later in season 4 or season 5 of Musicians Can Thrive. But in the meantime, think about what you want to do for your own merch and how that can become your own retention tool. Even if it's just a poster that you hand to people as they're leaving, maybe you sign it for them. What can you do that's going to get people to stick around, that basically carries more weight than just following you on social media? Thanks again for listening, guys. I appreciate it.